Anne Baxter left little to the imagination, and it's impossible not to gasp when you hear her story. She wasn't just another Hollywood actress. She was a bold force who turned heads and broke rules at a time when playing it safe was the norm. Born in 1923, Anne carried a spark from the very start. It's no surprise, really. Her grandfather was Frank Lloyd Wright, one of the most famous architects in history. That creativity must have run in the family because Anne wasn't interested in doing things the usual way. By the time she was a teenager, Anne was already setting her sights on Hollywood. And when 20th Century Fox signed her, it didn't take long for people to notice her. Early in her career, she starred in The Magnificent Ambersons, and right away, it was clear Anne was going to be a star. But this was just the beginning. Anne's big moment came with All About Eve, a movie that's still talked about today. Playing Eve Harrington, Anne captured a character who was ambitious, clever, and just a little dangerous. Her performance was so powerful, it earned her an Academy Award nomination. Audiences couldn't look away. Anne had a way of pulling you in with just a glance, with every word feeling like it carried weight. There was something raw and fearless about her acting that made it unforgettable. But Anne wasn't just bold on screen. Off camera, she had a confidence that made her stand out wherever she went. Whether it was at glamorous Hollywood events or walking down the street, Anne knew how to grab attention without even trying. Her style choices were always daring, never over the top, but never boring either. She wore what she wanted and wore it well. And it wasn't just about fashion. It was about how she carried herself, like someone who was always a few steps ahead. One of her most talked about roles came in The 10 Commandments, where she played Nefretiri, the Egyptian queen. Anne completely owned the part. She didn't just act like a queen, she became one. There's a reason people still mention this performance. It was bold, powerful, and yes, it left little to the imagination. Anne brought intensity and glamour to every scene, leaving audiences absolutely hooked. Watching her in that role, you could see why she was such a big deal in Hollywood. Few actresses could match that level of energy and charisma, but Anne wasn't the type to follow Hollywood's rules. In a world where many stars were controlled by studios, Anne refused to play along. She made her own choices, and they weren't always easy. She pushed boundaries and wasn't afraid of controversy. She once said, "Acting is not what I do, it's who I am." That says everything you need to know about her. Every role, every decision, every risk, Anne owned it all. And behind the fame, Anne's personal life was just as interesting. She married 3 times, faced ups and downs, and still managed to stay true to who she was. That honesty made her stand out, even when Hollywood tried to polish every star into a perfect image. Anne never pretended to be anyone else, and fans loved her for it. She was strong, independent, and always real. As the years went on, Anne proved she wasn't a one-note actress. From emotional dramas to lighthearted comedies, she could do it all. No matter the role, Anne brought her signature energy and fearlessness. Even as Hollywood shifted and changed, Anne stayed relevant, leaving a mark that still lingers today. So here's a question. How many stars from that era are still talked about the way Anne Baxter is? Not many. Her story is proof that being bold, unapologetic, and true to yourself can lead to something unforgettable. Anne wasn't just another name on the screen. She was, and still is, an icon who dared to stand out. If there's one thing to take away from her life, it's this. Sometimes the most lasting impression comes from those who break the mold. Anne Baxter did just that, leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire actors, artists, and dreamers everywhere. What do you think about Anne Baxter's fearless story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what stood out to you most. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss more fascinating stories about the legends who shaped Hollywood.